Previously on Rings of Power.
Nobody goes off train.
And nobody walks alone. We wait for you.
The Halfwoods then proceed to not wait for them, forcing them to walk alone. We are now halfway through the first season. The writers have realized that basically nothing has happened so far, so they start the episode off with a bang. The sea, who is always right,
The sea is always right.
deciding to commit treason against the other sea, but it turns out to be a spooky dream, awakening to find her sheets thoroughly wet. But at least it's a beautiful day for racism.
Elf ships on our shore. Elf workers taking your trades.
They took our jibs!
Dig your jam. Dig your jam.
Which makes Abigail Shapiro sad.
The queen's either blind or an elf lover.
Hey, this show is stealing my jokes from the last installment.
And are you an elf friend?
I'm a loyal servant of Numenor.
Rasputin shows up to throw more fuel on the fire, and he literally had 10 glasses of wine available, which is absolutely enough for this crowd of 100 people. He was just walking through the market. Did he know that someone was going to have an angry speech, so he prepared drinks for them and showed up? Or does he always have drinks following around for just such the occasion? This doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
I see, all right, yes. But in episode AG4...
Wizard.
Galadriel demands that the Queen Regent give all her resources to fight a war in another country. The Queen, in a perfectly reasonable decision, says no. Galadriel doesn't like this and demands to speak to the manager.
That I might present my proposal to one who holds the authority to answer it.
Lady Galadriel, that is quite
And with
enough.
what authority do you speak, Elf?
There is a tempest in me. It swept me to this island for a reason. And it will not be quelled by you, Regent.
There is a tempest in me, so because she's angry, she has the authority to demand people fight and die for her? This delusional facsimile of Galadriel ought to be thrown in prison for this. Oh, fucking based. Isildur, who wants to take his gap year, almost kills his friends by playing silly buggers with the ropes on the high seas. Like, don't fuck around with the seas, it's always right.
The sea is always right.
He is fired for this, but he also gets his mate fired, who are justifiably angry.
Yeah, same old as Seal walking away.
Phew, look at that. Continuity established. The lore is saved. Well done, writers. Adar escapes from the Boca to reveal he isn't Sauron, surprising no one. But what does surprise me is that all the orcs look like they're wearing garbage bags. But at least we get to see Ugly Sonic / Ed from The Lion King again. Adar is worshipped by the orcs for some unexplained reason, and he releases Arendor to go tell the humans that they need to serve him or die. But this is really because they needed Arendor to escape from the orcs, but couldn't figure out a good way to explain it. The Southlanders then arrive at the Firewatch Tower, but only brought 5 potatoes to feed 100 people.
Where's the rest?
That is the rest.
Theo suggested they go back to the town and get the food. Why didn't they just take all the food when they left?
We make for the Elven Tower at first light.
Dumbasses. The two boys sneak into the town to be heroes. Billy is afraid. Theo isn't because he has his lightsaber. Just wait a second, it's going to make sense. Theo goes into the bar to grab handfuls of grain instead of, say, one of those slaughtered sheep that we saw a moment ago, and the clouds become spooky, which means it's time for an action scene.
Where'd you get that? Give it here.
See? I told you it was a lightsaber, but it's edgy. Wait, how the fuck did he know that this would work? I mean, sure, he saw it use blood to grow a bit longer in an earlier episode, but you expect me to believe that because of this, he's trusting his life to the assumption that if he gets in trouble with it, he can poke his own arm with the hilt of the sword and trust it'll grow fast enough to use it as a proper weapon.
Not a great plan.
The hilt turns out to be exactly what the orcs are actually looking for. Well, that's convenient. Theo hides in the well, which is so dumb at this point that my brain is hemorrhaging, but it gets dumber still as the orc hears the voice in the well and then goes back to his NPC patrol path. It's been like 3 days or something at this point, so the tower is halfway finished, which is good, I guess, but Celebrimbor is big sad because he hasn't seen Durin in a while. Durin, as the Dwarven Prince, obviously couldn't have any other responsibilities, so this must be suspicious, which means we're back to Khazad-dûm, which I have no problem with. I like the Dwarven Kingdom. The only bad part is that we have to listen to the dialogue.
You know, Disa, there is no secret worth concealing with deception.
There is no secret worth concealing with deception. It's a secret, you Mimbo Vulcan. They so desperately want their show to sound deep. Elrond critical rolls his deception check and sees through the lie that Durin is 2 days' climb away.
If Durin is mining quartz, why would he leave without taking his chiseling axe?
The Dwarven children are always off screen in this episode for some reason, so I can only assume that they ADR'd them in later.
Gerda, I'm warning you! Gerda, stop hitting your brother!
We're playing the knocking game.
Well, knock it off.
You're always just one room away, huh?
I guess the kids were only on set for the one day and they forgot to film the secret password nursery rhyme scene. Deese's lie is immediately discovered because she takes a walk with Durin, and they talk about the secrets of the old mind. Elrond uses his elf eyes to see this, and of course he lip reads what they were saying from halfway across Khazad-dûm, proceeding directly to the most valuable secret the dwarves have. No guards are posted, literally unlike anywhere else in the mines, and he immediately guessed the password was the old song the children were singing.
Rich crown, kiss the stone, polish your gems and gold.
Well, that's convenient. At least let him try something like password 123 or 420 gold digger 69 or something before he gets it. Durin catches him and accuses the elf, which is totally reasonable because he's literally spying on them. Think about this for a second. This is like you haven't seen an old friend for years, and the first time you go over to their house, you start looking through their internet's history, claiming that you're just doing this because you're trying to be a good friend. Anyway, the mystery box contained Mithril, like I said in part 1 of this review, and Durin hands it over to Elrond despite its value because Elrond has been such a great friend all these years. That's handy. He'll be able to show that to Celebrimbor later. Maybe they could use it in the construction of some sort of rang of power? The mountain has a tummy ache, and 4 short beard dudes get stuck. Back to our favorite character, Galadriel. She still hasn't sat down for once in the entire show, because it goes against everything she stands for. Sauron Halbrand gives her a sneaky speech about being sneaky. Galadriel, being only thousands of years old at this point, doesn't understand.
You do well to identify what it is that your opponent most fears.
And exploit it.
No.
And needs Halbrand to explain it to her like she's 5.
And you give yourself a moment to think.
Cease comparing me to a horse.
Alright, just wait a second, I need to fix this line before we continue.
Cease comparing me to a
mouse.
Galadriel gets literally the very thing she asked for the moment she didn't sit down in Numenor.
You are to be shipped back to the elves.
This makes her angry.
What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? God damn it, what do you want?
And then this happens. God damn, this show is embarrassing. She Assassin Creeds her way all the way up to the tower and fights the king, and once again is offered exactly the thing she asked for, instead of, you know, being executed for breaking and entering and for all they know attempting to assassinate the king of Numenor. The queen doesn't call for the guards, however, and they talk about spooky ball Palantir, and you know what? This effect is really cool. I like it. This is the only time I'll say something nice about this episode. Anyway, back to the soggy bottom boy, who is still in the well and has been there all day. It is now night and the orcs are looking for him, which is kind of weird because I think orcs have better vision at night, you know, since they live underground. But he uses this cover of darkness to try and make his video game escape, avoiding the enemy patrols until he gets caught, at which point Arondir shows up to just the right time to save him. Oh, that's why they let him go at the start of the show. Sad music plays, implying that somebody isn't making it out alive. They then make it out alive because the Sun Axe Makata comes out at just the right moment, while the orcs simultaneously forget they have bows and arrows, but fortunately they notice this in post and we get as many as 4 arrows fired because they realize how stupid this scene looked. Back to the watchtower. Old spooky man name drops Sauron and gives us a bit of foreboding.
Have you heard of him, lad? Have you heard of Sauron?
And we now know that the orcs are on their way to retrieve the MacGuffin blade. Oh, look at that. Galadriel once again refusing to sit down. I mean, this kind of does make sense at this point given the size of the stick up her ass. The queen takes a walk, but then...
Look, sakuras!
This convinces her to send her armies to the south. Nothing can go wrong here. And Isildur decides to go along. Hey, wait a minute, we didn't see the half-foots at all this episode. Like we didn't see the elves and the dwarves last one. I guess they just have to skip one of the storylines every episode because there's just so much content packed into this show, there is no room for it anywhere else. Subscribe if you want to find out if Galadriel ever takes a seat.
Take a seat, young
mouse.